I'm all right.
We,
I'm excited. Happy to be here.
yeah, we've been going through we've been going through a lot of these things. So I wanted to just figure we get something going and figure we share with our viewers because I've been getting a lot of people from all different walks of life, and it's good to show that I mean, there's always a strong black woman out here, and since we've been
Uh,
friends for such a long time, right? This way I
yeah.
can share some of your stories, and because you've impacted so many women, I just want to
Oh,
say that
thank
man, I'm
you.
just so proud of everything that you got going on also.
Thank you.
And one of the things is actually sharing it to the world. But I want to say I'm going to share this with into Real Talk NV right here, and we can get going with the programming and see how you kids doing with this COVID and stuff.
It's going. I think it's an adjustment for all of us that are actually parents. It's something that it's different. It's definitely different. Too much of anything can be irritating after a while,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
But
So,
it's all good though.
yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to bring you on here, a small little chit chat before going on. All right, guys, it's 6 o'clock on the dot. I have a special guest here. This is episode number 4 of the Real Talk, Real Stories, Real Change with Miss Desiree King. You know what I mean? She's one of my dearest friends. And before we start out, I just wanted to say that, guys, if you guys ever wondering why we do this type of program, you see this red light right here flashing? We don't want that to happen to your kids, your family, and figure out that we can stop this from happening to your household. I mean, but I wanted to play something that a lot of people ask. A lot of people ask, "What do we do at Real Talk?" So I'll give you a raw example of what Miss Desiree King did. Then I'll introduce you, and you get more in depth of what's going on with the Real Talk program that we do for kids.
6 years old and received a sentence of 4 years on federal probation. She has successfully completed her supervision and is employed full time. She is a motivational speaker in her spare.
As you can see, she's over there. Desiree is over there asking these children, this youth, what is their crime? Give us a little commentary out there because some of our views like Gordon, what do you do with your speakers and with the kids?
Um, So my point is this: the reason why I love dealing with some people like to call them at-risk youth, some people like to call them the inner city kids, whatever verbiage or whatever term you want to classify the kids as, which I don't believe in classification and titles. Thus, the reason for disable your label, right? But the whole purpose for me being a part of this organization, for me being a part of this nonprofit, is to let our youth know no matter what background you come from, no matter what the color of your skin is, no matter what your educational level is, no matter what you've been through, no matter how poor of a community you come from, no matter how dysfunctional your family can be, no matter how dysfunctional the household that you came from can be, no matter how poor you are or were, you still have the power to become whoever it is that you want to become in life. You are definitely able to come out of what they call it, the phoenix is the one that
Yeah.
rises out of the ashes, right? That each and every one of these children, though they have been through something, some of them have been through something horrific. Some of these children have been through more at the age of 16 than most people have been through in a lifetime.
Right,
I
right,
know me
right.
personally, myself, I have been through more at 16 than most people have been through in a lifetime. So it is my purpose and it is my privilege and honor to be able to give back to these kids and be
Right.
able to speak life into them.
Right, right. Let's listen to this clip. I want to show you how powerful she is, and then we're gonna move on with the rest of the show.
With my thing either, but my battery will beat your battery any day. I'm that type. We was about that life. See, we ain't pick on the wimpy people. We ain't do none of that weird stuff, that robbing. No, I need to look in your eyes and let you know it's about to go all the way down. I didn't play. See, we ain't do all that robbery and all that old sneaky stuff. No, we brought it right to your door, and you knew when we was coming for you, and you knew it.
All right. So I mean, that's just a brief example of a type of things that would because you mean a lot of times people don't understand honestly what we really do, and I just want to bring it to light. That's why we went to this digital forum where, since the COVID hit. But let's get the show going because I know time is an essence for you. You're a busy woman. We got some stuff going on. But welcome, guys. Welcome to the Real Talk, Real Stories, Real
Hey.
King with Desiree King. And we actually titled this "Disable Your Labels." In this
Mhm.
episode, Desiree and I discussed the Real Talk Youth Impact Program, why disabling your labels is so important. In fact, Desiree was so profound on this notion. She entitled and she wrote a few books. I got two of her books. Dysfunctional is wait, what is it? Dysfunction is
Dysfunction is the new normal.
Dysfunction is the new normal, and the second one is entitled Disable Your Labels." Desiree is also an interventionist and an expert working with the kids that we come in contact with because of her background. Honestly, her testimony and her stories are so powerful for the young women of any type of background, and her main objective at this time is to give her accounts as a young black woman from the streets of Cleveland and how it
Yes.
all started. Desiree, give us some of your background. I mean, we gave something that was so important in the beginning, but we want to hear it from the horse's mouth so that people can understand where you
Mhm.
come from, so and things that what you've been through and how is it helping you and the
Yeah.
kids.
Got it. So my background is a little different. I do let people know that I come from the streets, like the real streets, not the fake ones that you see on TV. Like we grew up eating sugar sandwiches, right? We
Yeah.
grew up literally like boiling hot water sometimes to take a bath with, right? We grew up I mean, man, it was so many different stories and things that I can tell you as a child, but the thing of this, it didn't stop me. And that's the most important thing that I want the kids to know. Don't allow the things that you've been through to actually stop you. In actuality, it actually made me go harder, right? It put me behind the eight ball, so to say. So when everybody else was in front of the eight ball, I was actually behind the eight ball. And so to be able to show the kids the amount of growth that I've had in such a short period of
Mm.
time, and to be able to let them know that regardless of what your situation is, regardless to what you've been through, you can overcome it. So a lot of these children, let's be honest, they have some pretty rough charges. Okay, some of these children
Right.
have robbery charges, battery charges, assault charges, murders, pimping, prostitution, you name it, they have it. But the thing is this, I like to tell the children, we all make mistakes.
Right.
Let's just be
Right.
honest. There's not one person known to man. There is not one person living on this earth right now that did not make a mistake in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I'm gonna be honest. Some people was doing illegal activities. The difference is they just didn't get caught. Can we just be
Right.
100 right now? Like, can we just be honest? Some people just didn't get caught. And so some of these kids, not only were they behind the eight ball, but with being behind the eight ball, it made them make some life altering and some life changing decisions. Now, I'm not here to condone what these children have done, but let me tell you something. When you get in disconnection notice after disconnection notice, or when you watching your mother get beat, or when your father is not around, as some of these men and some of these boys growing up, they're left to be a father at the age of 10, at the age of 13. I'm not condoning some of the things that they're doing, and I'm not saying that they're right. But what I'm saying is this: you put yourself in their shoes, and you have three or four other siblings that's coming after you. Your mother barely can put two nickels together to feed all of you. And so at the age of 10, 13, 14, they go out and they make some drastic decisions based on a lack, based on a lack of money, based on a lack of knowledge, based on a lack of positive role models and influence, based on a lack of education, based on a lot of lacks. And so they do go out here and figure they can rob for the money. They do go out here and figure they can pimp for the money. They do go out here and make some bad choices. And I
Right.
like to
Right.
say, at the end of the day, they do pay the consequences, but that does not mean, my grandma say, don't throw the baby away with the bathwater. That does not mean that they're still not worth it. It doesn't mean that they still can't rise from the ashes like the phoenix that they are.
Right, right. And it's just so important that you give the message. I mean, this is how powerful Desiree is when she speaks to our youth, even the parents. Like me and her being in a parent group, she relates that she's a mother. I mean, I was going to introduce you to this, but she introduced it. But with all that said and done, right? Desiree King is also a mother of three, an award-winning international motivational speaker, a lifestyle strategist, and a certified life coach. She's the founder of the Mentality Makeover, where she equips women worldwide with the tools, resources, and support to spiritually, mentally, and financially transform their lives and walk in their God-given calling. She's basically, we call each other. I mean, the red beans and thing or whatever. That's a whole nother story. But
Right,
with
red beans
all
and rice.
with all that she said in the beginning, she got to motivate herself, and she does things that really push people in the right direction. And if you think that her messages is not profound, go watch that video on YouTube, that on the Real Talk YouTube channel, where it's a correlation between what I'm doing here and what Real Talk is all about. But she's been speaking to this for years, and each story, each time she talks about something else, it's so informational. And to see the kids' faces in the state of shock and awe that she gives. It's just so powerful. And we want to relay that message to you for that, in case anybody wants to say that. All right, Des, we're going to get down to some questions right here.
All right,
Put you
let's
on the
go.
spot, right?
Come through.
All right. So, Des, what made you get involved in working with at risk or any youth
I
at?
was just because I used to be them. I used to be the one that everybody kind of gave up on. I was the one that everybody said that I would grow up to be a statistic.
Oh,
I was the one that didn't have a father around, because he was murdered. And it's a different thing to have a deadbeat dad, which is somebody that doesn't come around. But guess what? You always have that hope, the possibility that he may one day come around.
oh,
But
yeah,
see, the
because you
difference
mentioned
with
that.
me,
Yeah,
right, was because
yeah.
my father was murdered, so I never had that opportunity. So I never had the opportunity to say the word daddy, or to run to daddy's arm, or be able to call daddy on the phone, or any of that, and I never will. So I am someone that grew up and have a life that will never be able to say daddy, will never have one, will never know what that interaction. I will never know what that feels like. Period. And there's a lot
Right.
of other children that grow up like me and that experience the same
Mm,
thing. But I want them to know that it's okay, that you're going to be okay, and that you can make it past that. And please, whatever you do, do not allow it to limit you. And that's why I personally decided to get involved with the program and be active with the program, because I want to be hands on. I want them to be able to see me. I want them to be able to touch me and feel me and be like, hey, if she can make it, if she can do it, then I know that I can make it and I can do it. Because I'm going to be honest. One thing about when you're growing up in the inner city, when you're growing up in the hood, or when you're growing up in the ghetto, you don't see other people that actually made it out. You don't see
right.
other people going to college. So college is never an option for you. You don't see many people overcoming adversity. So for you, overcoming adversity is not an option for you. So that's why me is so important for me, for them to be able to see me, for them to be able to feel me, for them to be able to look at me. And the same girl that grew up with roaches and rats and on Section 8 and welfare and all that is now the same girl that is an award winning international speaker. And I didn't switch up.
Oh
I ain't
yeah,
changed
yeah,
up.
yep.
Not at all. I'm still that same girl. I'm still that same one, and I still come with that same authenticity. I still have that little same little rough edge about me, right? And I want them to know that that's okay. If that's what makes you different, you embrace that. Don't let people change you, but there is a point where you have to change you. You're going to have to
Right,
change people, you're going to have to change places, and you're going to have to change things in order to get out of the situation that you're currently in.
right. And I'll tell you firsthand, between me and her, when we team up on just say, I mean, we do this for the sake of changing one youth at a time,
Come
one
on
path. I mean,
now.
when we team up and we collaborate and make it very powerful, it affects lives, guys. And that's
Mhm.
what we want
Yeah.
to do here. It just affect the life, so you don't have to grow up with a father. You don't want to have to see your
Mhm.
dad get murdered. I mean, how does it feel? You
Mhm.
mean really, really feel when you know that you would never be able to say that word, dad?
Right,
And it builds up inside you. And
right,
what she gives to the young women, and they relate to the stars, like, and they, you see it in their eyes, it's like, holy crap, my life is not that bad. If she can do it,
right,
I
right.
can. And that's a perfect example
Mhm.
that what we're talking about and type of caliber of, you know, of people that work with us on this project. You mean, come work with us. I mean, that if you want to have a voice, you want to have an opinion, you want to use a platform, come work with us on a deeper level. Okay, what do you think is your role in the program? How you think you're helping the youth at this moment? How do you
So
think you're helping them individually, if not?
yeah, well, I think my role, I'm gonna be honest, is the same role that we all have, whether we want to admit it or not, and whether
Mm.
we want to live up to it or not. But our role is to be the living example.
Oh, nice.
Let me
Like
say that
that.
again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Our role, whether it's to your cousin, your niece, your nephew, your son, your daughter, your little baby cousin, our role is to be the living example. Because let me tell you a little something about children. Back in the day, the old folks, old heads used to say, "Don't do as I do. I want you to do as I say."
Mm.
But let me tell you one thing about children and the way that they learn. They don't learn by what you say, they learn by what you do. So when you have a little baby that's trying not to crawl anymore and they're wanting to learn to walk, they learn by walking how? By watching you, by watching what you do. Let me say it again because I just want to make sure that somebody catch that. How do our children learn? How do the youth learn? How do any child learn? The same way that we learned, by watching
Right.
somebody do what they do. So we need to make sure that we are the living example. Listen, if you do not want your child in a toxic relationship, if you don't want your child verbally abused or being verbally abusive, if you don't want your child to be physically abused or to be physically abusive, why are you accepting it? Because I
Yeah.
want y'all to know that this goes two ways. Not only do we talk to the kids, but we also talk to the parents. And let me tell you something, y'all. I'm gonna keep it 100 because anybody know me, they know I keep it 100. And I go in that parent group, and I can tell you this, baby, that the apple don't fall far from the tree.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen
Somebody
it
got to catch that.
firsthand. Yep.
Come on now.
Firsthand. I mean,
Come
we
on
can.
now.
It's for sometimes when we're in the parent room and they see us speak of our turmoils and where we started from and what's going on. Some of the parents are in shock because sometimes they need that jerk reaction from
Right.
somebody that's going to give it to them raw, and they make the decision from there whether they're going to change, have better communication,
Mhm.
or you can end up in this situation where it's going to be much, much worse.
Much
And I mean,
worse.
it's time and time again. We're going on what, 7, 8 years now doing this, and it still amazes me. All
Mm.
right,
Same thing.
I'm going to throw you a hard one right now.
Okay.
Explain to the audience one of your darkest times, either being arrested, incarcerated, or a story from your past that you would like the audience to know about. Give me a
Um,
juicy one.
yeah, so I'm gonna give you one, and it's probably not something that people would anticipate for me to say. I know that they're looking for this juicy, jail story, or they're looking for this juicy rival story. How my rival crew was against another rival crew, and that was just a juicy dark moment, and how we got out of it, or how we shot out of it, and they want to hear all of this. But I'm going to tell you my darkest moment.
Yours. I
My
want to hear
darkest
yours.
moment.
Yes.
My darkest moment is telling myself that I would never amount to nothing, that I would never grow up to be anything. My darkest moment, can we be 100? Why was that so deadly? Because I was speaking that and I was projecting that over myself. And it wasn't
Mm,
until I actually released myself from the darkness that I was able to walk in my own light. So I know we're talking about kids today, and this is what I talk to when I talk about the kids, when I talk to the kids, because believe it or not, they're walking in darkness. They're walking in darkness. They're walking in what they see on social media. And if their life don't add up to what the influencers on social media life is, or YouTube or Snapchat or IG, then they feel like they are a failure. So my number one thing to do is to not allow them to feel like they're nothing, like they're not adequate, like they're not enough, right? Because suicide is real.
Oh, yes.
Suicide is
Yes,
real.
depression, anxiety, all of this stuff, it moves into effect. And, this is one of those things that you mentioned, that where the interpretation of it all might be something where they might go down that path. And we don't want that for
We
anybody. That's
don't.
why there's, I mean, I love that you change the angle of that, because it doesn't have to be any type of situation. It doesn't have to be whether inside, whether, I mean, just for granted, one of the qualifications for us, that is, we have to have experiences, and it doesn't have to just be because of that. It would be being that darkest moment where you got to come out, and that negative self-talk is so prevailing
Mhm.
in these young men and women, that it is becoming almost like a epidemic, because it stresses them out, peer pressure, everything else, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, it's just that was just beautiful, because
And
it,
one other thing, I do want to say this, right? There is a word that says, "Don't be conformed to the world, but if you want to be transformed, you have to renew your mind."
mm-hmm.
You have to renew your mind. So this is why we at Real Talk, and there's several, there's Real Talk in Nevada, there's Real Talk in Texas now. I mean, watch out, baby, because Real Talk is going to be worldwide. I need somebody to catch that, right? But the main reason why we get on here is to show these children, to give them hope in their hearts and in their mind. Because when you're only 15, 16, and 17, you can only think as far as the 15, 16, and 17-year-old can think. So our whole goal and objective is to let them know we resonate with you, we feel you, we've been where you are, and don't give up. Look
Right.
at where we are right now. We came a long way, baby, from where we started from. Don't
Yeah.
give up. All right. So that's something else I just wanted to kind of add to that. It's so important that we begin to help these children develop their mind, develop their spirit, begin to help encourage them, help to empower them. I was talking to a young man the other day, and I said, "Oh, you have such a pretty smile." And he looked at me like what I said was foreign. And I said, you have a pretty smile. He was so deprived of a
Right.
compliment, to when somebody gave this baby a compliment, it was foreign. It was almost like I was speaking another language. It's like he didn't understand what I was saying by giving him a compliment. So our youth have been so warped, and they've been so affected so negatively, and they're used to us putting these and projecting these problems and this negativity on them. So when somebody like us come along with the green shirt and speak positivity into them, it's like, ooh, stranger danger, foreign, alien. What is this positive stuff you speak? What is this? I can be anything. What is this? What is this? One more thing, and I'm sorry, y'all. For real, for real. I'm gonna leave you with this for real, for real.
No, this is what. Hey, let me stop you right there. Right, this is why we have this platform, to bring everything out. My sister right here, she does a wonderful job hitting to the core of, say, parents and people. I mean, I hate to have that train of thought, but it's like, add on to that, because I hate to say, I just had to reaffirm what our viewers and listeners are going to be hearing, that that just want to say that this is why we're here.
Yes.
This is exactly why we're here. You know what I mean? Let me ask this before we close out. Between everything that you've said, right? What message would you tell the parents of the youth that we're trying to change, because they'll be seeing this in the future?
Bruh, if me and you don't speak the same language, I don't know what to tell you. That's exactly what I was just about to say. I was just about to say, I want you guys to know that I speak worldwide. I
Right.
not only speak in schools, I speak in jails, I speak in detention centers, I do the real talk. I literally go worldwide and speak to the youth. I speak in urban communities. I speak all the way up into what you would like to call the ritzy or rich neighborhood, or the rich schools, whatever you want to call it. Can I tell you one thing that all of the children say that's universal? If you guys want to hear this, let me get somebody to type in the number one. Let me get you to type in the number one. Let me get you to put the number one in the comments. And I'm going to tell you the number one thing that I hear worldwide from children, whether they're white, whether they're black, whether they're Hispanic, whether they're Chinese, whether they're natives. There is one universal language that each and every one of these kids, when I go to these schools and I ask them this on teaching them on how to disable the labels, I always ask them this one question. What is the number one thing, the number one negative thing that you hear from either your parents or your teachers or whoever, because some of the kids are raised by their grandparents, whoever the authority is in your life? What is the number one thing that you're hearing from them? The number one thing that they tell me, and this is not a color thing, like I said, white schools, black schools, poor schools, rich schools, jails, detention centers, all over. The number one thing that these children are hearing is that you ain't gonna never be the
Damn.
number one thing. You ain't gonna never be shit. Let me just say,
Yeah, man. Keep it real. Keep it real.
that word.
Yeah, yeah. Keep it real.
That's
It's
the
just part of
number
it.
one thing that our youth are hearing. This is out of their own mouth. This is not something they made up. This is, I'm talking about in the sums of 30 to 40 different locations that I've been in. It's not a white thing, it's not a black thing, it's not an urban community thing. It is a universal, it is a parenting thing. It
Mm.
goes back to what that young man showed me when I actually spoke over him and I told him, "You have such a beautiful smile." And when I actually gave him a compliment, it was so foreign. Let me ask you, parents, today, for all of my parents that's watching, how many times a day do you compliment your children?
Oh yeah.
How many
Yeah.
times a day do you yell at them? Because I got plenty of parents that can count on two hands how many times they yell at their kids, but I can't get some parents to count on one hand how many times you've told your child something positive a day. How many times you've told them that you love them. How many times have you said, "Man, I'm grateful and thankful for you"? How many times have you told your children, "Baby, you can be anything in the world you want to be"? Our children are deprived. That same
Yeah.
attention that they're not getting, social media is giving to them. This is why social media seems to be running our children. The same attention we won't give them, trust and believe there's a pimp right there waiting to give your daughter that exact same attention, right? That exact same attention, and that time that you don't have to give your son, there is a gangster that is waiting off in the cut. It's a thug that's waiting off in the cut to show him everything that he do, show him how to move and shake, show him how to live out here in these streets. We got to take our children back. That's the one thing.
Ah.
If I could leave anything with the parents today, let today be that day where you hold your child, where you give your child a hug, you give your child a kiss. If you go into correctional facilities and you talk to these robbers, murderers, whatever you want to call them, it stems back to their childhood. This
All
wasn't
day.
something that
Yep.
just came out the blue. This was something that started with these men and women where they were typically a child.
Yep.
That's what I want
All
to say.
day. That's what it all come down to.
Come on, man.
Woo!
You know, man, I could
Woo!
go.
I mean, hey,
We could go,
hey,
bro.
wait. Here, the problem is that we try to keep this at a certain minimum because me and
We
Des can go
do.
all we can go all day every day and do this because. But I just wanted to say that if you want to have more interaction with us, once it's all set, that's why we went to this digital more version of it because of the situation. But I just want to thank you, the viewers. We were putting this up
Yeah.
on different social platforms, but thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for being with us this week. If you want to get in touch with Desiree and myself, there's a scrolling thing on the bottom looking for more information. And it's just we need to get to these parents. We need to get to these
Yes.
youth in a different way so that they can change their path because ultimately we don't want them in the same situation as us. And if you have someone that needs to share or hear this or
Yes.
message or want to be part of our program, we're here with open
Yes.
arms, figuring out how we can help not just you, the
Yes.
families that you come in contact with. Please reach
Mhm.
out to Desiree. Desiree, tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Yes, so I am on social media, all outlets. You can go to my
Right.
website, DesireeKing.com. You can go to Facebook, DesireeKing.com, Instagram, Desiree King. I am all platforms, Desiree King. And listen, you guys, if you're wondering, how can you assist? If something that we said today seemed to touch you, feel free. I mean, this is a
Right.
501c3. All donations and everything are literally tax deductible, right? If you're here in the West Coast in the Vegas area and you have a child or a parent that needs this program, make sure you get in touch with one of us or Miss Cherie. If you're in the Texas program or in that centrally located area, if you have a parent or a child that needs to reach out to Real Talk El Paso. We are here to make a difference, okay? We are not here to be part of the problem. We're here to be part of the solution. If you want to partner with us, if you want to join and say, hey, I have a story, I want to speak to the youth, we need your story, right? We
Right.
need to
Yeah.
hear your story. You could be a felon. You don't have to necessarily be a felon. You could be a business owner. You can be a mom. If you just want to make a difference, listen, we are here at the Real Talk program. That is what we're here to do. That's what we embody, making a difference. You could be part of the problem or part of the solution, but listen, baby, you can't be both.
Right. Right. Right.
Come on now. That's
I
it.
mean, between Desiree, myself, the other speakers, the ones coming up, guys, come check us out.
Yeah.
Head over to realtalkyip.org and let us know if you want to become, like you said, become part of the solution instead of the problem. All right, if you enjoyed this fourth episode, don't forget to please like, share, or subscribe to get automatic updates on future Real Talk, Real Stories, Real Change episodes. And finally, leave us a comment, a thumbs up, a like, because it helps me and Desiree formulate new programs. Desiree, every time it's a pleasure, right?
Always, brother.
And
Always.
and we'll catch you later, guys. Get in
Bye,
touch with one of
everybody.
us. All right.
Yes.
Have a good night, guys. Bye.
Mwah, mwah.